Welcome to this explainer. Let's get right into it, because today we're unpacking a psychological phenomenon that is fascinating, but also incredibly common. Now, you might be wondering, why do so many outwardly successful men feel just completely empty inside their relationships? We all know the type, right? He's got the stable income, the perfectly manicured lawn, the flawless family photos, the rock solid routine. But inwardly, there's just a hollow echo. To figure out why this happens, we're going to look through the brilliant and honestly pretty piercing lens of the 19th century philosopher Søren Kierkegaard. So let's dive in and dissect the anatomy of the disappearing man. So, have you become a stranger to yourself? I know, it's a really heavy question. Externally, your life might look absolutely picture perfect. You've checked all the boxes society handed to you. But inwardly, you might feel like you're just playing a part in a play you didn't even write. And look, we're not talking about some dramatic failure or ruining your life here. We're talking about a quiet, creeping sense of absence. It's that feeling that something is distinctly missing, even when literally every metric says everything is supposedly right. Let's move into part one, the invisible disappearance, losing the singular soul. How exactly does a guy stop being a unique, singular soul and slowly morph into just an abstraction? Well, it's an invisible disappearance, and it always starts with the roles we take on. Modern society practically begs us to become categories. You know the drill: the dependable husband, the steady provider, the patient father, the model employee, the responsible adult who never forgets to take the recycling out on Tuesdays. Now, I want to be absolutely clear here, and Kierkegaard was too. None of these roles are inherently bad. In fact, we need them. But the danger creeps in when the performance of the role entirely replaces the actual inward, authentic individual. The roles just start eating up so much psychological space that the unique person underneath completely vanishes from awareness. You literally just become a walking job description. What happens next is this subtle but incredibly dangerous shift. A married man starts organizing his entire existence around expectations rather than his own authenticity. He basically learns which version of himself creates the absolute least friction, the least conflict, and grabs the highest amount of social approval. So he starts nodding along to weekend plans he actually hates just to keep the peace. And over time, he stops acting from his own inner conviction entirely. He's just functioning based on whatever the structural unit of the family or society demands of him. Which brings us to part two, the trap of the role, death by unconscious adaptation. You see, this loss of self doesn't happen in some big dramatic explosion. You don't just wake up on a random Tuesday and decide, hey, I'm going to throw my entire identity away today. Instead, it happens through a super gradual, unconscious adaptation that initially just feels like being practical, or compromising, or just growing up. And every single compromise seems completely harmless on its own. To preserve harmony in the relationship, a man moves through these quiet stages of self-editing. First, the ambitions get muted. Maybe you just stop talking about starting that risky business. Then, strong opinions get softened. You stay quiet during a dinner conversation just to avoid a debate. Instincts become hidden. And eventually, genuine passions are postponed indefinitely. The guitar gathers dust in the closet, the novel gets shelved, and that weekend motorcycle ride turns into another perfectly practical trip to the hardware store. And it's not because anyone explicitly demanded it. It's because preserving the peace gradually became way more important than preserving your individuality. Kierkegaard brilliantly defined despair, and it's probably not what you think. It's not dramatic sadness or crying on the floor. He defined it as the condition of being disconnected from one's true self while continuing to function outwardly. It's this exact state of being fully operational, getting the groceries, crushing it at work, managing the finances, paying the mortgage, while becoming completely existentially hollow inside. You are essentially a perfectly functioning machine with no ghost in the shell. This takes us to part three, the illusion of peace, existence versus maintenance. What looks like this peaceful, stable life from the outside is so often masking a really profound spiritual exhaustion. Society sees you, your family sees you, but the problem is you no longer see yourself. So why does this happen? Well, it all comes down to existence versus maintenance. True existence means experiencing life directly, with all of its messiness, its fire, its uncertainty, and its passion. Maintenance, on the other hand, is just experiencing yourself performing life. It's like a wind-up toy, simply going through the motions. And that difference, it's subtle, but it is absolutely devastating. Maintenance slowly drains a man's vitality because the self just cannot survive indefinitely as a pure performance. Without genuine engagement, you just get emotionally quieter and existentially smaller. Kierkegaard warned of something he called leveling. This is basically the process where society gradually reduces unique, spiky individuals into the socially acceptable sameness. And while we usually think of this happening out in politics or culture, it happens super intimately within marriages too. A man gets optimized for domestic functionality. He becomes like a highly reliable, incredibly expensive household appliance that also happens to pay the bills. His rough edges are totally erased, his unpredictability disappears entirely, and his private ambitions are moderated into these perfectly safe, socially digestible versions of themselves. And honestly, the terrifying part of all this, society and modern relationships actually reward this exact functionality. The highly praised modern man is reliable, predictable, manageable, smooth, and socially efficient. We heap praise on men who seamlessly suppress themselves into these perfectly manageable traits. Think about it. We don't call it self erasure, do we? No, we just call it adulthood. But Kierkegaard would pierce right through all that praise with one devastating question: dependable for what? I mean, really, if you maintain every single external structure while totally losing your inward self, are you truly successful, or are you just incredibly efficient at erasing yourself? Surviving a perfectly structured life is definitely not the same thing as burning inwardly with genuine existence. Moving to part four, the paradox of stability, how preserving comfort destroys connection. So, we do all of this to protect the relationship, right? But here is the tragic irony of it all. The more a man abandons himself just to preserve relational comfort, the less psychologically alive he becomes inside the relationship itself. By trying to avoid every little bit of instability and tension just to keep the marriage safe, he actually ends up suffocating the very vitality, attraction, and mystery that sparked the connection in the first place. It's pretty simple. You absolutely cannot remain existentially compelling to a partner if you are internally absent. Because of this, the relationship devolves into a really distinct pattern. It starts with that self abandonment for the sake of stability, and because of that, the raw vitality and mystery just disappear. Sure, the relationship structurally continues. You still share a house, you have a joint bank account, you're coordinating the kids' carpool schedules, but ultimately, a profound spiritual hollowing out has taken place. The relationship devolves into pure logistical maintenance, where two people are physically near each other in the exact same room, but they're psychologically light years away from themselves. Kierkegaard believed that the self isn't just something you automatically possess. It is something that has to be continuously maintained through a conscious, inward relation to your own existence. This highlights such a profound truth. Being yourself is an active daily practice. It takes actual effort. And without this continuous inward connection, a man becomes metaphysically invisible. He is present everywhere externally to everyone else, but completely absent everywhere internally to himself. His energy just flattens out, and his intensity softens into this sort of permanent routine politeness. Over the years, this despair just becomes completely normalized through routine. You literally start to mistake your numbness for peace. Over decades, there's this growing inward sense of accumulated self betrayal, just this quiet resentment building up in the background of your mind. And then later in life, the suppressed self finally searches for oxygen. This perfectly explains why men experience these sudden, massive existential panics years into a marriage. To everyone looking on from the outside, buying the ridiculous sports car, starting a drastic new career, or leaning super heavily into work addiction appears completely irrational, but it's not. It's really the suppressed inner self finally rebelling against the cage, desperately gasping for air after years and years of holding its breath. Finally, part five, reclaiming your authentic self, awakening inside the life you built. So, what on earth do we do about this? Well, this explainer isn't about escaping your responsibilities, it's about waking up inside of them. Kierkegaard's warning was never against love or commitment. It was against losing the self while trying to maintain the structure surrounding the self. And he actually left us with a lot of hope. He said, despair contains hidden opportunity. The moment a man becomes conscious of his invisibility, he regains the possibility of transformation. Just realizing that you are merely functioning and not truly existing is actually the first, absolutely crucial step toward an inward recovery. That raw awareness itself interrupts the automatic robotic existence. The ultimate goal here isn't to escape from your life. It is awakening inside your life before the self disappears entirely. When men feel that midlife panic, they almost always misinterpret the signal. They think, oh, I need totally new external circumstances. I need a new city, a new job, a new car, or I just need to abandon my marriage completely. But what they really need is to reclaim their authentic relation to themselves right there within their current responsibilities. So, how do we actively do that? First, you have got to interrupt your automatic existence. You have to stop just going through the motions on autopilot.
Second, confront the dangerous questions honestly, the ones that threaten your perfectly stable, frictionless structure. Third, stop reacting solely to expectations and constantly trying to be what everyone else needs you to be. And finally, root your life in conscious becoming. You have to choose authentic existence with all of its terrifying friction and uncertainty over a comfortable, invisible numbness.
So I'll leave you with this. Have you ever reached the end of the day only to realize that you slowly stopped seeing yourself a long, long time ago? The greatest tragedy of modern life is not being unseen by others. The true catastrophe is realizing you've unconsciously traded your inner fire, your entirely unique existential individuality, for a perfectly predictable, seamlessly managed life. If any of this hit home today, it is time to start paying very close attention to where you've become overly adapted and start reclaiming the authentic life that's just waiting beneath your routines. Thanks for joining me on